Live from the Clarity from Chaos studios, heard worldwide, it's Dave Campbell. And so Dave and his guest explore, discuss, and work on solutions to some of life's biggest challenges. So, if you're ready, be prepared to be enlightened, amused, and even shocked by what you hear. And now, the real, the authentic, the one and only Dave Campbell.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Clarity from Chaos. We welcome who should have been the new Arizona governor, but due to political shenanigans is not, who may run for the Arizona Senate, and is the author of the just released book, Unafraid, Kari Lake. Welcome to the show, Kari.
It is great to be with you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
I grew up in the Barry Goldwater, Arizona. What the hell happened? I lived there most of my life, and it's kind of gotten weird on me. Did the RNC not know what happened in 2020, Kari?
Well, I mean, corruption happened. It became a swamp.
Right.
Back when Barry Goldwater, I think Arizona was a pretty noble place to live, but the swamp
Right.
creeped in. A lot of very powerful people were running Arizona for a long time with mafia type attitude about how they ran the state, the politics. And that's kind of become the status quo there. And then here comes along me, a citizen recruited by the people to run for office. And we led the most amazing movement of the people of Arizona who are ready for a change, ready for somebody who is going to go down there and immediately start securing the border and reforming our elections so that we don't have any more embarrassing, fraudulent, corrupt elections that frankly destroy the whole country.
Right.
And Arizonans are tired of being the butt of the joke, and it's not even a joke anymore. Stolen elections have deadly consequences. We see it along our border. We see it with what happened in Afghanistan. We see it with everything Joe Biden touches, which is disastrous. So corruption has not been dealt with, and we need to deal with the corruption. And that's why when they rigged the election and stole it from the people of Arizona, I said, I'm not going to stop fighting. We're not going to back down. We're not going to act like nothing happened. Like many Republicans have even said we should do that. And to be honest, those Republicans who say, let's not talk about 2020 election or 22, I think they need to be looked at with a very big dose of skepticism. And I don't believe they're worthy of your vote. If they don't want to reform our election so that every vote, every legal vote counts, then I don't think they're worthy of your vote.
Is the case completely done now? Have they completely squashed it, Kari, or is there still some breath of life to it?
There's still some life. Of course, they did everything we would expect them to do. Election cases are difficult to win because you have a very short, truncated schedule. You have to do a lot of investigation to be ready. We were ready to go with all of the information, an incredible case, 10 counts of widespread, overwhelming evidence. And the judge only allowed us to take 2 of those counts, the 2 hardest to prove. But I think we proved them without a doubt. The judge ruled against us. It moved into the appellate court. Then it moved all the way up to the Arizona Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, no, that judge has to take a look at the signature verification aspect. Now, all along, we've been trying to get the system log files. We've been trying to get the envelopes with the signatures on them because we know that their signature verification process is a complete sham. It's not being done. And we proved it. We finally got the system log files, which are basically every keystroke made down at Maricopa County. And it proved so many more crimes and fraud than we ever expected. I mean, we're digging through it. It's a gold mine of fraud. And unfortunately, they held that from us. They figured that we would do our first case, our election case, and when the judge ruled against us on Christmas Eve, that we would walk away. But we persisted and kept with it and said, no, we're going to keep appealing. And then they were forced to give us the system log file info. They figured we wouldn't be able to dig through it. We brought the people in and dug through it. And every single day, we're finding more and more evidence of wrongdoing, maladministration, downright fraud by Maricopa County. So had we quit, as some Republicans had suggested, had we not pursued it, had we quit even after the first judge's ruling against us, we wouldn't have all this information. And that's part of it, unveiling and showing where the corruption is and then we can find the corrupt individuals behind it. And we do want justice for this election and the 2020 election. This wasn't just Arizona it affected the entire country and frankly the entire world.
Well, I saw on the news, I guess this last couple of days, the 2 million fentanyl pills that have been in the 2 million pounds or whatever it is of fentanyl that have come in the last 2 weeks. So obviously Hobbs isn't doing anything to stem the border issue at all.
Not at all. I mean, we watched as our election was sabotaged, as our vote was trampled upon. The people know what happened. They installed at least 3 people in our state government, maybe more. I believe in the Secretary of State's office, Adrian Fontes. I don't believe he won. Looking at the evidence that I've seen, I don't believe that Chris Mays in the AG's office won. I know she didn't win, and I know that Katie Hobbs didn't win. They have stolen our government from we the people. And anybody who wants to sit back and allow this to happen is part of the problem. They are complicit in being okay with our border being overrun. I'm not okay with fentanyl pouring in. And I don't think most voters are okay with that. As a matter of fact, I know they're not. It's killing our young people. I'm not okay with the terrorists, the narco terrorists controlling our border and now controlling our state. The man sitting in the Secretary of State's office by the name of Adrian Fontes, so he now controls our elections, is a cartel lawyer. You heard me right. Adrian Fontes is a cartel lawyer. He is one heartbeat away from the governor's office because we have a squatter named Katie Hobbs sitting in the governor's office. The people are furious in Arizona. They want relief. They want a judge to do the right thing, take a look at the evidence and do the right thing. But unfortunately, the corruption goes from top to bottom and it goes from side to side. And It's hard these days finding people with courage who are willing to do the right thing. I don't know if they're afraid, if they're being controlled, if they just realize that it's a daunting task to undo a corrupt election. It is, but we have to. Unprecedented times call for unprecedented measures. And we're looking for somebody who will do the right thing.
So let's shift gears a little bit. Your book was fascinating, by the way.
Oh, good. Did you get a chance to read it?
Yes, I did. It was fascinating. And what really kind of struck me was the amount of religion that was in the book, because people shy away from the word God just about everywhere anymore. And I was really touched by the fact that you used the word liberally throughout your book. And I thought that was really, really pretty nice.
Well, I don't think I can tell my story without talking about my faith journey and about God. And I don't think you can tell the story of what's happening right now, frankly, without bringing up God. I mean, we're talking good versus evil. I'm sure you've heard that phrase before, but this is
Right.
God versus Satan. It really is going that deep. And God is a huge part of, I believe, why I even found the courage to walk away from my job. COVID and a few other things really brought me back to my faith. I've been blessed. I grew up in a family that, we were sent to Sunday school every week. And thankfully we had that religious background just enough that as a person going through, the trials and tribulations that we do as human beings, whenever I hit a rough patch, I could always fall back on God. I could always fall back on my belief system. And that was so reassuring. Unfortunately, now a lot of people aren't even brought up with any knowledge of the Bible or of God, Jesus, salvation, all of that. And so it's a big part of my story. There's a couple chapters. I don't want to freak people out for people who are like, oh, wait, I didn't know I was getting a religious book. This is a bit of memoir, a bit of a faith book. It's a bit of a political intrigue book, political history. And there's even a true crime story in it when it comes to the election. So you get a plethora of genres in books.
Well, it was a document to a hardworking Midwestern family, and I just thought it was refreshing to
Good.
go through it and read it. So, what's next for Kari? I know there's an awful lot of rumblings about you. If the gubernatorial thing finally doesn't work out, that you're going to make a run for the Senate. Is that still hovering around in the near term?
Well, I plan to keep my case going. As I said, we've filed an appeal, a notice of appeal, and working currently on our appeal. And we may even file a new case. There's so much new evidence that has come out that needs to be heard. The people need to understand what's happening in our elections. So we're contemplating that. I'm being sued right now by a government official who can't handle the heat when he's criticized about how horrible the elections are. They want us to sit down and shut up after they run an election where they trample on our sacred vote. They've got another thing coming. We're not sitting down. We're not shutting up. We're going to use our First Amendment. We're going to call out what happened in our elections, and we will get election reform. They want to sick a bunch of Soros paid for attorneys on me and try to destroy me. And, I think this guy has some aspirations for higher office. Some people even think he's delusional enough to think he can run for U.S. Senate, which is funny. And so maybe he's trying to set things in motion for himself. Who knows? But he can't handle the heat of being a government official. And it's unfortunate, but we'll work through that. We'll continue to speak the truth. I am seriously considering a run for U.S. Senate. And I never really thought I would say that. But when they stole this election from us, just a few months ago, I had someone come to my door, a powerful person, saying, what would it take to keep you out of running for office? Just if you could not run for anything for 2 years, what would it take? How much? And I said, I can't be bought. I can't be bought. There's no keeping me out. If the people that sent you here want to keep me out of politics and are willing to pay and bribe me out, that means I need to stay in. And so I don't know. I haven't made up my mind. Maybe I'll have to do it. We can't have people in DC representing Arizona who don't have Arizonans' best interest at heart. And so I'm in the process of making some decisions right now. I'm never going to give up on election reform. I will never concede this election to Katie Hobbs. She lost, and even she knows it.
Well, there's one last thing I'd like to hear your thoughts on. Trump and DeSantis are beating each other's brains out right now instead of focusing on defeating the corrupt Biden family. And I'd like your thoughts on it, because I think we've got a pretty good bench between Ramaswamy, Trump, DeSantis, and probably Haley on the next presidential ticket to run. But I think they're wasting money on beating each other up as opposed to focusing on getting their message out about that Biden's destroying this country. I know you lived through the Carter years, as I did, and saw the absolute damage that was done in 4 years. Well, this is the same thing except on steroids. So what are your thoughts about that?
The thoughts on the Republicans beating each other up?
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate that we have a primary right now, and I think President Trump 100% is the only man for the job. Absolutely. Ron DeSantis has been a huge disappointment. He disappointed the people of Florida. I've spent time down there. The people are so furious with him. He said he wanted to run and be the governor. He ran, won re-election, and then immediately started campaigning for president. Had the people known that, they probably wouldn't have re-elected him, because the people of Florida love President Trump and want President Trump to be the nominee. President Trump made DeSantis. He's the reason DeSantis became governor. And the people of Florida are furious with him. I just came from there. I've never heard so many boos when I mentioned his name. I think it's a character flaw that he would run against the guy that endorsed him. And when he endorsed Ron DeSantis was losing to a drug addict pervert. He was getting pulverized by him. And Trump came in and saved the day, really saved Florida by making that endorsement. So to run against Trump, I find it to be a real character flaw. More horrifying are the people behind DeSantis. We're at a crosshairs right now, or we're at a cross point rather. We either have a fast, steady sprint toward communism and globalism with the Democrats, whether it be Joe Biden or Kamala or whoever else they throw in there. We have a fast run, maybe not quite as fast, but still heading toward globalism and communism with any of these other guys running against Trump, especially DeSantis. He's got Karl Rove behind him. He has Paul Ryan. He's got Jeb Bush and that whole cabal of people who are warmongers, who actually destroyed the Republican Party before Trump came in and breathed new life into it. They were the ones who got us into endless wars, took our treasure, sent it overseas, let America decay and fall apart. And I don't think anyone wants to go back to that. We've learned a lot, unfortunately. Actually, maybe it's a good thing about Ron DeSantis. Nobody knew that those were the people behind him. The people funding him and behind him actually, to me, make him the least qualified of any of the candidates running. And I would not have said that a year ago. I thought he was an effective governor. The more I hear about what he's been up to, the more I am shocked that he would take this advice. Who got in his ear? Who got in Ron DeSantis' ear? He was ready to be the nominee in 28. He would have rolled and skated right into it. If he's not astute enough and sharp enough to be able to tell really bad advice from good advice, then I don't think he should be anywhere near the White House or, frankly, the governor's office, because somebody got in his ear, filled him full of grandiose ideas that he could beat Trump, which he can't, and got in his ear and told him to sabotage his gubernatorial record and career to run against Trump. And it's only ruined his chances to be president in the future. I actually feel sorry that he would take that advice. Yeah. So that's where I stand on it. I might have surprised you with that, but that's where I stand.
No, not at all. So where can people find your book, Kari?
They can go to karilake.com if they want to buy it directly from the publisher. I love the publisher. They're one of the few publishers out there that will take somebody who's an America First candidate, let them tell their story and not censor it. Or they can go to amazon.com, barnesandnoble.com, or just to their bookstore. It should be in bookstores all over the country, and we're so proud of it. It is a page turner from the foreword written by President Trump right until the last page. I think there's some surprises in it.
Well, thank you so much for taking your time to come on the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm so honored that you have me, and I look forward to coming on again.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. If you would like to listen to more Clarity from Chaos shows on demand, go to clarityfromchaos.buzzsprout.com or send Dave an email at info@clarityfromchaos.com for information on previous shows. You can also listen to the show on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Twitter, or Google Podcast. Until next time, please remember, it's not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Be well, everyone.